The title of this PowerPoint is Phonics Number 1. It will cover the first phonics concepts that need to be taught to students who are learning to decode words. According to the findings of the National Reading Panel, some students learn phonics skills implicitly. They seem to pick up the skills on their own. However, the other 30% of students will not learn phonics skills implicitly. They need direct instruction. English learners, students with special needs, and students who are struggling with learning to read will benefit from explicit, systematic instruction. Research shows that children learn phonics best through explicit and organized teaching. This is called the synthetic approach, putting the sounds together from smallest to largest. Systematic phonics instruction is the direct teaching of letter-sound relationships in a clearly defined sequences. New readers need substantial practice in applying knowledge of these relationships as they learn to read and write. It's important to use books that include lots of words that can be decoded by sounding out the individual letters and blending them together. Reading words in context helps them to identify the correct words. It's also important to have students apply the skills when they're writing words. This gives them the power of writing independently. On the next two slides are several approaches to teaching phonics. These were all cited by the National Reading Panel. The synthetic approach was presented on the previous slide. It's the first approach that is often used. It's segmenting words into individual sounds and then blending them back together. The analytical approach is teaching students to look at letter-sound relationships in words they know, but they don't say the individual sounds in the words. An analogy-based approach is using word families to identify new words. For example, using the word cat to identify the word sat. There are three more approaches to teaching phonics. The first is phonics through spelling. This is the second part of synthetic phonics, where students segment words into phonemes, or individual sounds, and then make words by writing the letters for the sounds. Embedded phonics is an approach through letter-sound relationships where they read connected text rather than practicing decoding skills with isolated words. Students will encounter words that don't follow phonics rules, often making this difficult. This is not systematic or implicit. Onset rhyme is the chunking of words, looking at the letters before the vowel and then chunking the rest of the word, the vowel and the following consonants. This skill is part of a systematic program beginning with synthetic phonics. The next section of this PowerPoint is about teaching the short vowel sounds in CVC words and other forms. CVC stands for words that follow the consonant, vowel, consonant pattern. Once the students have learned the letter names and can match them to sounds called the alphabetic principle, you can begin teaching decoding skills. Decoding is using skills to figure out words they don't know. These skills work for many words, but they will not work for sight words, which have to be memorized. When words are on lists, you use skills. When words are in context in passages, readers can try the decoding skills first. Then if they can't decode the word, they can use strategies such as skipping the word, rereading with the beginning sound in mind, what would make sense, and looking at pictures to figure out the word. Begin with CVC words. These are one-syllable words with one vowel. When a vowel is followed only by a consonant, it will be a short vowel sound. These words are the easiest for new readers to read. The CVC words are 3 letters and 3 sounds blended together. There are some strategies to teach and practice CVC words. Rubber banding words. Rubber banding words is when you use your hands, you put your fingers together in front of you, and then you're moving your hands apart as if you're stretching out a rubber band as you say the individual sounds in a word. As your hands stretch apart, you're slowly saying the sounds in isolation. Then the sounds are blended back together. Both skills are important, segmenting and blending. For example, if you were doing the word cat, you would be saying at cat. Just using the hands in that manner helps them to connect that and to really slow down to isolate the sounds. The second technique is to rainbow the word. Using one arm, draw an arch or a rainbow in the air as you say the individual sounds, and then you draw the arch more quickly as you're blending the sounds together. This kinesthetic movement helps them to focus on the individual sounds and then blending them into a word. They can be practiced in a large group or individually. The next one is Elkonin boxes. You can look this up online as well. Elkonin boxes is another technique where boxes are drawn on a piece of paper, a whiteboard, a chalkboard, one box for each letter sound. For a CVC word, you would need 3 boxes. Adding music and movement to instruction helps to reinforce the skills that are being learned. They can be used as a break between activities or during instruction. Sometimes we call it a brain break. Making words is a hands-on activity which is a bridge to writing CVC words and other words that follow the CVC pattern. To begin, make a list of words for the students to practice. Give each student a small whiteboard and the magnetic letters they'll need to make the words on your list. You can use markers on the whiteboards, but for beginning readers, writing takes a long time. Pronounce a word for the students and then ask them to rubber band or rainbow the words first, and then to build it on the whiteboard with their letters. See it, say it, spell it. They pronounce the word and spell it aloud. Then they go on to the next word. Begin with VC or CVC words. Gradually move to more complex words. CCVC like frog, CVCC like ring, or CCVCC like the word blend. All will have the short sound. One vowel between consonants is a short sound. If you've worked on blends, then you can do the double consonant pattern. They should be able to hear each individual sound. Note, digraphs, which are the TH and WH, make a new sound, so individual sounds cannot be heard there. Blends are 2 or 3 consonant combinations. Eventually, we want students begin to see these as letter teams that don't need to be separated to be decoded. They can be at the beginning or end or both of a one-syllable word. So, for example, we have CCVC, the word stop, with the blend at the beginning, CVCC with the ST blend at the end, or we have a double blend, one at the beginning and one at the end of stamp. Still one vowel, a short vowel sound. Blends are sometimes called consonant clusters as well. So you can hear each of the sounds if they rubber band the words, really stretching it out. But there are so many blends, you need to be sure to teach only a few at a time. Usually your reading curriculum and guided reading books will tell you the order to introduce the blends so that they're seeing them in text. This slide shows just some of the blends. Semantic knowledge. A child's semantic knowledge, what you know about your own learning, is not well developed. It's similar to the game Jeopardy, where you get small bits of information and you have to connect it, which can take a long time. The following techniques help children develop their semantic knowledge, hooking this new information to something they already know. It's like building drawers in their brains. Making up a simple story with a picture can help imprint the concept on the brain so that each time they see that letter combination, the picture and the story comes to mind to remind them of the rule. For example, in the English language, Q and U are together. You cannot have a Q without a U immediately following it. So if you use this example, Q and U got married, you'll never see Q without U in English words. Next is teaching digraphs. Digraphs are 2 letters that make one sound. We want students to view these as letter teams, not individual letters. Students do not need to learn the term digraphs, but you should know the difference between blends and digraphs. Most consonants are fairly easily learned, but digraphs are more difficult. Digraphs can be at the beginning or end of words. The 4 digraphs you will introduce with this story are WH, CH, TH, and SH. Do not teach PH at this time. It's Greek and it gets taught later. The following semantic story was developed by Tori Green. Today we're going to learn about the H brothers. The 4 H brothers live in this house. Their names are WH, CH, TH, and SH. Each brother is different, just like you are different from your brothers, sisters, or friends. The youngest brother is WH. He tries to whistle, but he can't. He walks around the house going, whoo, 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 sounding like he can whistle. Have the students make that sound with you each time. The second brother is CH. He loves trains. So he goes around the house saying ch, 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 ch. The third brother is TH. He walks around the house sticking out his tongue saying th, th, th. The fourth brother is SH. He tries to quiet down the other boys by saying shh, shh, shh. First, introduce words with the digraphs at the beginning of words and then at the end of words. One of the first words they learned is the word the most common occurring word in text. Explain they cannot sound out words with the digraphs because it wouldn't make sense. Have them sound out the, t, h, and blend it together. Use this story often or make posters with pictures that will help the students retrieve the sound when they encounter a word with one of these digraphs. There are too many rules to introduce in this PowerPoint. So Phonics PowerPoint 2 will show other phonics skills, especially teaching about long vowel rules that need to be taught as students are learning to decode words.